I came down and I saw the funny man with his eyes here, and I saw a spaceship, and there were a few little ones around it. Swarming around down there, so I went down to see what was happening. And I actually saw this craft in the trees, and it was like in a Milky Way pattern on it, like silver and green and that sort of colors. And then there was this little boy crying, so I went up to him to see what was wrong with him, and he said he was quite afraid of it. And then that actually made me quite afraid of it, because when somebody's afraid, I get afraid. And then I saw this person, and his eyes were like in a slant, like say like so. And his mouth was just like a line, like this. And then at the time, the teachers were in a staff meeting. So nobody actually went up to go and call the teachers, because I think they were too afraid and everything. So when the bell rang, because somebody eventually went up, one of the prefects went and said to one of our teachers, Mr. Vernon, please could we, can you ring the bell, because there's quite a bit of a performance down there with all the kids running around. And then somebody from BBC came to us, and he went for a walk down there with us with a Geiger count. And actually on that piece of metal over there, we could stand up on it, and we could actually see a few burn marks. So he asked us when we were walking down there with him, he said, please could you come down with us to go and have a look at the things. So when we walked about, there's about 6 holes, and if you have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there were burn marks actually on the ground. And then the heels there on the rock, the day that it happened, there was something glittering, like quite strongly. And then when we came back to school the next day, it was just gone. And also, when we went down with them, the burn marks were just gone, that's like a few minutes later.
How long did you observe this whole happening?
I think it was about 5.5 minutes when we went down there, because it was actually quite scary. And I saw the man with his eyes here, and I saw I saw the bigger one, and the spaceship, like 4 or 5 of them, like crowding around it, and then after a couple of minutes, it just disappeared, like, just went. And he looked like he was in Durban, you see these people in like a diving suit, a really shiny one, and he looked like he was dressed in that, and his eyes were down here, and he was like looking really, really funny. Yeah. Well, it looked like it was like glinting in the trees. Like it looked like roundabout like a disc, like a round.
And whereabouts was it?
Well, in the trees over there, between the third pole.
And you say it looked like a disc. Are you sure it wasn't a Harrier jump jet or an aircraft?
No.
Something that the Zimbabwe Air Force has got?
It was like in a disc.
And what happened, Guy?
Well, it was just glinting in the trees, and there was a man, and he walked towards us and he walked back again.
And what did he look like?
His face was like this, and his eyes were down here.
Like what, further down his face?
Yeah, much further down than us, because our eyes are here, his are down.
And how close were you to him?
Well, I was at the back, because I had just been finished in the classroom, and I was quite at the back. So all the other kids were in the front.
You don't think it was somebody in fancy dress doing a prank or something? What, I mean, it wasn't, do you think he was a sort of a black Zimbabwean man?
Well, not really. He wasn't very, very dark. He was quite lightish, and he was very thin, not as...
And how tall about?
About, say there.
Just a bit taller than you?
Well, yeah.
And why do you think that this was something different, that this wasn't some helicopter from the Zimbabwe Air Force and just some guys playing a joke? Why do you think it was actually a UFO and possibly a spaceman?
It was just because somebody wouldn't just be playing around and just be on the ground all of a sudden.
Did it make any noise, this thing?
Not really, no.
And it landed, something landed? Do you see it land?
No, it was in the trees over there, like in the trees, like glinting, and like there was somebody on the ground.
And then what happened?
And then he walked towards us and he walked back again, and they just went.
How? How did they go?
It just went all of a sudden.
What, like a helicopter? Went
No,
up?
just went.
Which way?
Down, more down into the valley.
At about what height?
Quite high, like.
And then what happened?
And then it didn't come back again.
And did you girls see that as well?
Yes.
Great.
Guy has just one last mention of something very interesting here. Guy.
And Mrs. Stark, we used to go down there with our teacher, Misty Vernon, just for a walk for our content studies. We've got a dam that's actually empty at the moment, and we go down there to get some clay and pieces of grass. It's actually quite interesting because there's usually ants that crawl on us and bite us. And when we went down there with the BBC, we were walking around and we came back and there were quite a few antholes and antholes on the floor. There was not a single ant, and there were a few dead ones on the floor. When I went home the day after this incident had happened, I told my mum, and she said, actually, I don't believe you, but I can't really say yes and no, but she said, I really don't think I believe you. And then she said, my dad came home and I told him all about this, and he said it was probably just a rumor. I felt really upset because I knew that it was true. I don't want to forget about it. I want to keep it in because I knew that it was true. And I want to talk to other people about it.